Of all the fights, you've had 50. Who would you say was your toughest opponent?
You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds. But nothing really was tough.
Floyd fired the referee in the middle of the bout. He stops the bout. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Castillo got robbed.
There is no question regarding Max Kellerman's position. Well known for having a keen analytical mind, he did more than simply present an original viewpoint. By directly questioning one of the most well-known names in the sport, he may have just sparked a controversy that split fans and made them reevaluate their preconceived notions about the game and its greats.
Said Sugar Ray Robinson, how many wins he got? I said he got like over 150 wins. He stopped for me. He said, but who got more championship titles, me or him? I said, hold on, Floyd. He said, answer the question. I said, Floyd, there's more titles now than then. There was just one then. That's no fair. Answer the question. I said, okay, you. Do I not have 28 titles? And I was just like, I don't know. He said, oh, you're supposed to be the expert. But the reason why I said that is because there's minor and major titles. Who else greater than me? I said Henry Armstrong, Roberto Duran. He said, oh my God. I said, you said something about Pacquiao. Yeah, I said, I think you'll beat Pacquiao every day of the week, but I think he had a greater career. He said, you ain't think Pacquiao was on steroids? I said, he didn't fail any tests, Floyd. He said, look at me in my eyes. I can't say, man, he didn't fail. He said, oh man, you fake. I saw that as a initiation. This is what you about to get. Nobody's greater than Floyd. My thing is, he should feel that way, but you can't expect everybody to feel that you're the greatest, Floyd.
In his quest to destroy Floyd Mayweather's legacy, he has been outspoken and brutally honest. He is expressing his belief that a new, unbeaten king has emerged.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference to people.
Who did Floyd fight that was on his level when he fought? Only Canelo. That's it. Don't give me that stuff about the other guy that was going to prison. Cotto, an all-time great? No. Cotto's an all-time Puerto Rican great. You waited till Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez before you fought him. If you'd have fought him 4 years ago, it'd have been something. Because both of y'all were here. We'd have found out who the best was. He fought Shane Mosley at 38 years old, and it still was a good fight while he left. Shane almost took him out at 38. He fought Oscar De La Hoya at an old age. My point is, you didn't do it the right way. You know that. Who else did you fight besides them biggest, best two names you can pull up? I'm just saying, Floyd never fought nobody that was of his equal.
Whispers were the beginning of it all, the type that consistently follow a legend such as Floyd Mayweather. His remarks have a great deal of weight, and his shadow still hangs over the sport even after he retired.
Floyd provided everyone unrealistic expectations. You could win every fight, basically never get hit, and make all the money. it's not going to work like that for the most part for everybody, you know? Like, it literally only went that way for one guy.
I love Floyd, but it seems like everybody's afraid to have that O, to have a 1 or 2 where the O used to be. Ali lost. Sugar Ray lost. Hagler lost. Hearns lost. These guys lost. When did the O become the end-all, be-all?
I think Mayweather, you know, and how he made it big to the public. Like 47 and tried, 47 have failed, and then it got all the way to 50, and it's like, you know,
break Marciano's record.
Now retired, unblemished. Andre Ward, unblemished. You know, Joe
Calzaghe,
unblemished. You know, and it's like, when people look at him, they be like, man, that dude never lost before. You know, people can't say that. You know, a lot of people can't say that.
Mayweather's team started to make noise when debates over Terence "Bud" Crawford, the current pound-for-pound king, reached a fever level, seemingly raising doubts about the best dog of the contemporary period. This was a succession of well-considered remarks meant to remind everyone who was still sitting on the throne, rather than a formal challenge. However, what had previously been a standard tactic from the Mayweather playbook suddenly set off a chain reaction. Max Kellerman, who has studied Floyd's whole career, heard the summons and answered with a level of intensity that nobody had anticipated.
Floyd was fighting everyone right up until the point where he started to make money. But as much credit as you get for making, the primacy of business, for making business your priority, well, that comes with trade-offs, because when you make business decisions constantly, sometimes your athletic achievements won't be regarded in the same way as if you made athletic achievements your priority. That said, Mayweather has accomplished a tremendous amount athletically. But the three fighters he didn't fight, Antonio Margarito, Manny Pacquiao, when he was obliterating De La Hoya, Hatton, and Cotto, and Shane Mosley when he still had something left. And while he will wind up fighting Pacquiao and Mosley, it'll both be, at the right time for Floyd. That said, what about at the right, the right time for Floyd? He's also ancient. A fighter approaching 40, fighting at the level Mayweather is fighting, is unheard of. Mayweather, until recent times, would be considered one of the greatest older fighters of, that would be the whole story. Oh my God, can you believe how old Mayweather is? It's a little bit unfair to Floyd to say, well, you're picking these guys at the right time. Floyd is old.
Fans weren't accustomed to this calibrated, historical perspective. It was unvarnished and raw, and it had the potential to completely upend the boxing community. Kellerman's forthright response to the Mayweather-Crawford analogy was the first bombshell. Rather of honoring Floyd's impeccable record, he dropped the gauntlet with a comment that left everyone speechless. He maintained that Terence Crawford has already left a more powerful and captivating history than Mayweather because of his unwavering pursuit of the hardest obstacles. Two entirely different ideas were depicted by Kellerman. He explained Mayweather, especially after retiring from the lightweight class, as a skilled tactician both inside and outside of the ring. A fighter with a meticulous resume who picked and chose which men to face and frequently waited until they were past their best.
The Pacquiao you're describing, who knocked out Ricky Hatton, who YouTubed Ricky Hatton, turned YouTube into a verb, what he did to Ricky Hatton, and then destroyed Cotto, and before that, and then just the way he beat De La Hoya even before that,
Well, De La Hoya was old, though.
Sure, but Mayweather fought those guys basically at the same point in their career that Pacquiao did, before them. Okay. And the reason that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight was hyped up to the extent that it was is that, boy, Mayweather's this all-time great, and Pacquiao is doing these guys even worse than Floyd is doing them. Everyone wanted to see that fight. That Pacquiao's been gone for a long time. So why don't fighters retire when they should?
He didn't merely hint at it. He stated it clearly. However, his tone changed to one of utter reverence as he turned to face Crawford. He described Bud as a throwback warrior who deliberately sought out danger and always craved tobacco.
I put 5, that's right.
Wow. That's cheating.
I love it.
That is cheating.
That's a heel turn.
You the boss.
That is heel.
That's a heel turn.
I love it. You got 5.
Now, here's the thing.
Wow.
Roy at his peak, just remember this. If Roy would have retired after the Ruiz fight, he would have replaced Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest fighter of all time.
I agree.
Right? But he didn't, and the rest of that stuff is in there, right? So I get it, but Roy at his peak, I think, had a higher peak than anyone on this list.
I agree.
Okay, Manny Pacquiao, we've all said it a million times. I think he is, outside of Sugar Ray Robinson, I have Manny Pacquiao's second greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Floyd Mayweather never lost. And did he cherry pick when and where? Yes. But guys, from 130, 135, he cleaned out 135. He beat the best guy at 130, beat the best guy at 135. Yes, did he pick and choose at 140, 47, and 54? Yeah, but he won all those fights.
That's right.
And he beat a lot of good fighters.
No.
And more than that, put Floyd at his best with anyone through history. You do not know who wins. Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, it's true. Floyd is one of the top 10 greatest pound-for-pound fighters who ever lived. Tough to argue otherwise. But pound for pound, he can't be above Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was a flyweight champion. Not that he turned pro at flyweight. He was good enough as a flyweight to be the lineal champion, the real champion. Now, he didn't win titles in every division. He skipped some of these, but I just want to tell you how flyweight, junior bantam, junior feather, junior light, junior welter,
He's rapping again.
Junior middle.
He rolling.
And he laid waste to these divisions. Yeah. He fought great fighters. He never ducked anybody.
Mayweather, no disrespect at all to him. He's one of my favorite fighters growing up. Love watching him fight. Perhaps the greatest boxing business person of all time. Yeah. Look at actual boxers in the business. But I don't want to see many fighters come out of retirement. He's done everything he can do. He's one of the best fighters of all time. Stay retired.
As indisputable evidence, he cited Crawford's thumping of Errol Spence Jr. and his brilliant triumph over Canelo Alvarez. That readiness to confront anyone at any time wasn't simply praiseworthy in Kellerman's opinion. That was what brilliance was all about. And he asserted that Mayweather's subsequent career lacked it. Kellerman was only warming up, but that would have been sufficient to spark a battle.
Floyd fired the referee in the middle of the bout. He stops the bout. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Because he's the promoter also.
Well, I guess. I mean, also, it's Floyd Mayweather. Like, what's the referee going to do? Floyd throws this punch, and he's 100% correct. The punch landed the side of the head. It's a right hook. It's a perfect punch. And the referee was saying, watch the back of the head. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That wasn't the back of the head. And so he kicks the guy out, and they bring in a different referee who finishes the fight. It was insanity.
However, you must realize that this is not the first time Kellerman has gone all in against Floyd Mayweather in order to fully appreciate the drama behind this argument. One of the most notorious prophecies in contemporary boxing history has connected their careers for years. Kellerman is still plagued by this professional ghost today. The loudest and most reputable voice anticipating Mayweather's impending demise was Kellerman, long before the famous super bout with Manny Pacquiao. He notoriously and frequently asserted that Floyd's renowned defensive technique was on the verge of collapsing, stating that aging and wear and strain will eventually catch up with him and cause his impeccable record to break apart.
Who would your top 5 be?
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Number 1?
Yeah, and then pound for pound. See, Pacquiao he started as a flyweight champ. Not just he started his career there. He was the champion at flyweight and then moved up. There are so many divisions between flyweight and junior middleweight where he also won a belt. Even the fact that he could compete with Floyd Mayweather, who's a naturally bigger guy and one of the greatest pure boxers, Pacquiao's overall body of work, you could have him second pound for pound behind Sugar Ray Robinson.
How come I'm watching highlights of him knocking people out though, as little as he is, man?
Oh, that dude. It's the calves, man. He's got those fast twitchies and those big calves jump in on you and generate a lot of power. Crazy hand speed and power from a southpaw. Really awkward, hard to beat, lightning fast. Pacquiao was all that.
He wasn't merely forecasting defeat. He was predicting a total breakdown. That collapse, of course, never materialized. After Mayweather overcame Pacquiao and ended his career undefeated, boxing fans began to make fun of Kellerman's audacious forecast as a continual reminder of his alleged prejudice against Money Mayweather. This background gives today's discussion a crucial dimension that compels everyone to consider if his current effort to enhance Crawford's reputation is a straightforward, objective appraisal or if it is the last move in a chess match spanning decades, a planned attempt to win an old dispute retroactively by rephrasing the fundamental meaning of greatness. The community was still in shock at Kellerman's hit on Crawford when he expanded his attack to target boxing's most revered cow. Floyd Mayweather's record, pound for pound. Kellerman expressed his deepest disapproval of a recent ESPN ranking that put Mayweather at the top of the list for this century. He said Floyd couldn't even be ranked higher than Manny Pacquiao on a pound-for-pound basis. He maintained that Mayweather's well-planned career just couldn't compare to Pacquiao's historic transformation from flyweight champion to welterweight behemoth, destroying several categories and never flinching.
Pacquiao wasn't able to make flyweight. He was a flyweight who won the lineal championship. So if that's not the most, or one of the 2 or 3 most impressive things in the history of boxing, the fact that he could move up, give me an example of another flyweight who was the lineal champion, moved up, won a bunch of titles in between, and then was that good as a welterweight. Pacquiao won lineal titles, indisputable, that's the man who beat the man, or else putting belts together. No one had ever done it before, ever. No one ever did that. No one ever came close to dreaming about doing that, and then Pacquiao did it. So the fact that Pacquiao is even competitive with Floyd Mayweather, who's one of the greatest pure boxers ever, do any of us believe that if they were the same size naturally, Floyd would beat Pacquiao? You really think that?
In a sea of decline, Kellerman wasn't by himself. Ryan Garcia, a current boxing sensation, publicly supported his assertion that he has always thought Pacquiao is better than Mayweather.
Pacquiao's my favorite, and you are right.
Yeah.
But he did beat Pacquiao, and nobody has changed the game like Floyd Mayweather.
He mastered the art of knowing when to fight somebody and when not to fight somebody. I mean, he's the best in that game. He's the best in, making money and making all the, the huge fights happen. But why? Because he was timing every single one of them. He never fought nobody really in their prime. He always
after junior lightweight. At junior lightweight, he did.
Yeah, he changed the game in the worst way possible. You're right. Everybody's trying to protect their own. I had to break that, right, with Tank. Like, that's one of my idols. Like, I really look up to Pacquiao. Like, people don't know, but like, he's one of the people I look at. I'm like, man, like this guy is everything I would want to be, you know, as a career, as a fighter, because he did everything like, you know, with such grace, and he did, you know, put up spectacular fights. He helped out his community. I'm trying to do things similar like that, but me, I'm more of I want to give back to, you know, like the younger generation. I want to help them with like anxiety.
ありがとうございました。スーパーですね。スーパースターのマニパッチョ選手、来年からした。
Kellerman's claim gained additional legitimacy from this active fighter's endorsement, demonstrating that the division is present not only among sports spectators but also among elite circles. The idea that a perfect record could simply indicate flawless matchmaking rather than perfect combat was a direct challenge to the contemporary fixation with an unbeaten record.
I could really say something negative, I could really say something positive. But when it's all said and done, and we all approach situations in a different way. Rather Tank was to win or he was to be on the other side and take a loss, I would have stood right there behind him, 100%. And it's no different from you guys seeing a lot of times Tank vent out on social media, but I'm right there. He's young. So if I'm with you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've always spoke about loyalty.
Nobody would do business with you if you act like this.
But it happens a lot in boxing, though, right?
Oh yeah, because
to be
it's
common in
strategic.
boxing, yeah.
Floyd was telling him all these things.
Floyd's given this counsel to
Yes.
Devontae.
Who do you think is telling him to do the rehydration clauses and not, you know, putting all these stipulations on me? You can't do this, you can't do that. The ring needs to be this size. It's Davis Garcia. It's not. But all these things were all by Floyd. Hey, this kid is different. You're gonna say he is different, and you're gonna say I have no worries on whoever he fights. You're gonna say that. Just spend a week with me. That's all I say. Let's go hang out. Let's do what we do. You're gonna see something different. And I'm not here to prove myself to nobody. At the end of the day,
no, bro.
Even though people hate Floyd Mayweather, I love Floyd Mayweather. This guy is almost 50 years old, and he's still like taking pictures with all his watches. When I go on a trip for 10 days,
I take 30 watches with me.
If I go on a trip for 20 days,
I take 10 more watches.
If it's a 30-day trip,
Then I bring out the watch that costs $18 million.
and he pulls out like this $1 million watch.
The digital world took off. Overnight, Reddit posts and boxing communities, especially those on r/boxing, turned into online battlegrounds. The response was immediate and quite divisive. Kellerman was accused of blasphemy by one admirer for everyone who applauded him for his bravery. The post, Max Kellerman just torpedoed 3 decades of goodwill in the boxing community in the span of a weekend, went viral on the r/Bilseman subreddit. Many people agreed, believing that his remarks betrayed his long-standing reputation as a reputable boxing historian.
How much money could you reasonably walk out of this fight with?
350 million.
$350 million.
Yes.
Wow.
he's like, don't do that. You ain't Mayweather. Derek told me never to do it, and I was like, he'll never admit that, but he did say that.
Where did it come from?
I was just doing it. Like, I was just like, all right, like, let me see if this works. It kind of did. Like, he really couldn't hit me for 2 or 3 rounds. Then he started figuring it out. And I'm like, forget this. I'm going to go back to being me.
Some, however, praised him. They uncovered old footage that pointed to a certain, almost foreboding statement made by Kellerman, according to which Crawford had been the finest fighter in terms of weight since the night he defeated Bradus Prescott. Looking back, this demonstrated that his position wasn't merely a passing fancy. It was a long-held belief that Crawford's recent victories had finally confirmed.
Some great fights never take place, or they take place too late, like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. They fought too late. I mean, if that fight could have been arranged by Riyadh Season, they probably would have caught them both in their prime, and it would have been chaos.
Yeah, Manny was done before that ever started.
And he also had a blown shoulder going into the fight.
Yeah.
He needed shoulder surgery before the fight even started.
Kellerman had provided more than simply an opinion, as the firestorm demonstrated. A powder keg of argument that had been simmering for years had been ignited by him.
Of all the fights, you've had 50. Who would you say was your toughest opponent?
You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds, but nothing really was tough. I've been in a boxing gym, and guys have given me great sparring and great work. They say ass whooping will humble you. I go home and say, you gotta tighten up, champ.
Yeah.
You gotta get it together, champ. And then sometimes I go home and say, is this for me? I make mistakes, but I strive every day to be a perfectionist. And we all know God only made one thing perfect, and that's my boxing record.
Additionally, when you examine Mayweather's career, since Kellerman is currently pressuring, everyone must do, and detractors will always point out, to a single evening where the legacy of Money Mayweather nearly arrived, collapsing before it had even started. April 20th, 2002 was the date. The adversary was a tough, unyielding warrior named Luis Jose Castillo. 4-12 exhausting rounds. Many people think Castillo carried out the not possible. He defeated Floyd Mayweather. He outthrew him, harassed him, and appeared to cause further harm with even the HBO's unofficial scorer Harold Learman, giving Castillo the victory. However, upon reading the scorecards, it was the hand raised by Mayweather in a very contentious unanimous ruling.
I remember that fight like it was yesterday. I do, being a big Floyd Mayweather fan. Floyd didn't really perform well. Castillo was just making it very tough on him. And I remember after the fight, the CompuBox numbers, and I remember the stats, and Castillo landing more power shots. And I was like, uh-oh, because being a fan of Floyd, I was like, man, Castillo, he landed the more effective punches. Then they had total punches, and Castillo landed more there. Floyd Mayweather had one arm against Castillo, and he lost. He clearly lost that fight. Why the judges call it how they called it, that's just boxing. But he lost that fight, okay? And he should. That's what happens. He was injured. Castillo, one heck of a fighter, pressured him and beat him. He should have gotten the nod. So I'm thinking, this is how I feel overall. Floyd Mayweather, he's undefeated officially. We will have to forever say that. He's 50-0. We can't lie. We can't change what it is officially. We can't call him 49-1, 48-2. The guy is 50-0. But Castillo got robbed.
The shadow of that initial bout has never gone away, even though Floyd would go on to win the rematch with greater convincingness. It is viewed by Kellerman and other critics as the biggest asterisk on his flawless 50-0 record. It is used as evidence in the case that Mayweather's faultless career has not been devoid of extraordinary luck and a decision that favored him, leaving an unanswerable question. Does the 0 in 50 represent unassailable greatness? Or does it bring back memories of the night the boxing community thought they had a plan to defeat him, but the scorecards showed otherwise? Kellerman wasn't yelling into thin air, of course. As soon as his remarks were made public, other well-known voices in the sport had to respond. He instantly called up his longtime debate partner, Stephen A. Smith, and the two got into their trademark, ferocious back and forth. However, the discussion grew more extensive. Clarissa Shields and other fighters offered their opinions on Kellerman's other contentious assertions regarding boxing history. From commentators to actual champions, it seemed like everyone in the sport was getting drawn into this argument. Floyd's triumphs over legends were seen by some as evidence of his superiority. They quarreled. That recency bias was afflicting Kellerman. Others, on the other hand, started to evaluate Mayweather's record more critically and gave Crawford's undefeated titles in 2 weight divisions more weight. What used to be a fringe viewpoint is now a topic of discussion. This poses an important query. Why now? Why, following years of respectfully examining Mayweather's career?
Created this as much as people think that he did. You know, he fought Corrales in his prime. He fought Genaro Hernandez at 21 years old, who would still only have 1 loss, and that was to Oscar De La Hoya, and he was a reigning champion. I remember Floyd Mayweather, when he was, and granted, we're not going to compare a 33-year-old Canelo, who's a little bit past it, to an ascending Floyd Mayweather at 21 years old. But Floyd Mayweather, there was 3 major world champions at the time, right? The WBO title was sort of lackluster at the time, but there were the 3 champions were Azuma Nelson was aged, Gennaro Hernandez was still rather good and only lost to De La Hoya, and Arturo Gatti at the time at 130 pounds. And he took on the toughest of those champions Mayweather did at 21 years old. Usually you'll be looking for a soft touch for your first world title. He took the toughest one on and then dominated the fight. So
wiped him out.
And then he defended against, guys like Corrales. And then he went up to 35 and fought Castillo right away. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear the whole, is it the Mayweather thing? Mayweather did this later, but he did so much before.
Was this the right time for Max Kellerman to make such a strong criticism? Some people think it's related to his recent professional decisions. Kellerman has returned to prominence as a top boxing commentator following his well-publicized resignation from ESPN's First Take. This bold approach might be an attempt to reclaim his position as the game's most courageous and knowledgeable analyst. Or has he actually changed his mind after seeing Crawford's incredible run? Maybe seeing Bud destroy two of this generation's top fighters in consecutive bouts changed his understanding of what is not feasible. This developing drama is made even more intriguing by the fact that the underlying motivation is yet unknown. The narrative takes its most astonishing turn when Terence "Bud" Crawford appears in the midst of all of this. Max Kellerman is fighting to make Crawford's legacy more important than Mayweather's, but Crawford doesn't seem to agree. According to reports, Crawford, a fighter renowned for his quiet confidence, still has the utmost respect for Mayweather and even supported him in the GOAT discussion. This is a startling turn of affairs.
With the way you beat Canelo tonight, Spence a couple of years ago, everyone is going to start making comparisons with your legacy to Floyd Mayweather. How do you feel you compare with Floyd with the resume you have now?
Listen, Floyd was the greatest in his era. I'm the greatest in my era. It ain't no need to compare me to Floyd or Floyd to me.
Crawford's respect for the established order is unaffected even though Kellerman is stoking the flames by speculating about a hypothetical megafight between Crawford and a retired Mayweather to settle the score. The whole story is complicated by this intriguing and ironic struggle. Why wouldn't a warrior at the height of his abilities notice that he is being offered the crown? It's evidence of Mayweather's lasting power, or it might be Crawford's calculated attempt to remain out of the spotlight. Ultimately, Max Kellerman did more than only express an opinion. The most startling discovery, however, is not Kellerman's opinion, but rather the man's own response he supported. The argument between Mayweather and Crawford is no longer straightforward. Now, there is a complicated triangle consisting of a heated dispute, the impeccable record of a legend, and a reigning monarch who might not even desire the throne. It compels us to pose a more profound query. When a fighter's own definition of greatness diverges so significantly from that of his most ardent followers, what does it mean? The history of boxing is changing, and the narrative is currently more interesting than it has ever been. That concludes today's video. Please remember to hit the bell button, subscribe, and like if you liked it so you don't miss any of our next videos. And remember to leave a comment below with your thoughts. We'll see you in the future video, so stay tuned.